Hello everyone, WallaceMan105 here today with episode 2 of Minecart Techs. Today we're going to be tackling the types of minecarts and their general behavior, along with the specific behavior of each type of cart. This is the second episode in the series. The last one covered all the rail types. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Starting with the crafting recipes, the basic minecart recipe is 5 iron ingots in this little U shape to get yourself a cart. And then all the other minecart variants just consist of adding the component to the minecart, and you get that cart. Oh, these are backwards. Ignore that. The first topic I want to cover is how minecarts handle momentum. If we come over here, you can see I've got each type of cart here. And if I flick this lever, they're off to the races. But you'll notice, not all minecarts move the same. And if we follow these guys down, I actually don't think I made this track long enough for them to come to a complete stop, but I'm also out of room. So, what's going on here? Well, Minecraft interprets the type of minecart that is moving to be in one of 3 categories, with the exception of furnace minecarts. To start with, you will have unoccupied or empty minecarts, seen here. You'll have occupied minecarts, which a minecart with a player in it, a hopper minecart or chest minecart will count as, but only when they are empty. And then you have full minecarts. So if I go over here and I fill this minecart with chests, with items, you'll see that its momentum is nowhere near its empty counterpart. Which makes for a good transition to our next topic, max speeds and momentum. Over here in this testing area, I've laid out an example of how to get to the top speed with a minecart. Now, a minecart with no momentum will require 7 powered rails to get to the top speed of 8 meters per second. This is on a 1-second delay, and this is 8 meters. Now, if we go over here to this track where there's a block, a solid block, that's going to push our minecart out, you can see that we can achieve the same speed in about 4 boosters. Now, once we get to full speed, maintaining it requires powered rails every so often. For occupied minecarts, that's going to be 1 powered rail for every 34 meters of regular rails. For empty minecarts, they're going to need 1 per 26, and any full storage minecarts, they're going to need 1 per 6. One additional topic worth noting about how minecarts get their momentum going is the difference between their interactions with solid blocks and transparent blocks, like stairs. So you can see here that this minecart is on no powered rails, and it's up against this solid block, but it's not going to go anywhere. If I get in it and push it forward, I'll just have the standard W key momentum, which is very slow. However, with these 2 minecarts, since they're on powered rails, as soon as I turn these on, they're off to the races. However, if I put them up against these, on this side, only this one on the left here is going to move forward, because the transparent block cannot push the minecart out. It's also worth noting that a minecart sitting on powered rails won't have any momentum added to it unless it has some to begin with. So if we just tap the W key here, we'll eventually get up to top speed on this. Oop. Oh dear. So, it's important to remember that if you want minecarts to move, there's gotta be something to kickstart it. It can't just sit on a powered rail and get moving. That'll bring us over to our first minecart variant we want to discuss, and unfortunately, it's pretty terrible. The furnace minecart is a semi-depreciated feature in Minecraft, and it is interesting. Unfortunately, it's a little underpowered. So it can accept coal or charcoal as fuel, and 1 item will fuel it for up to 3 minutes. If you stand behind the minecart and click on it with one of these fuel types, it will move away from you. If you have an empty hand, stand in front of one that's moving and click on it again, it will change its direction. It'll run for 3 minutes, and it's pretty slow. Its best use is for pushing other minecarts on a track that doesn't have any powered rails. Furnace minecarts are unaffected by gravity in terms of going uphill. They don't slow down for curves, and they also don't speed up for powered rails. So if you push them like this, you can see that they will push these carts into colliding with each other, and anytime one of them stops, it'll come along and bump them forward. This is not a very effective system, but it is more reliable than the game's built-in system of shunting minecarts together to get this effect. Shunting is not a good mechanic. I'm just going to say that right out of the gate. You can either form strong shunts, like this one on the left, or weak shunts, like this one on the right. To form a strong shunt, you need a tilted rail like this, and a solid block behind this minecart. So when I drop the furnace cart here, these will collide. And then when I break this block and replace these rails with flat rails and power this minecart, you'll see that it will kind of drag along the other one. However, if it goes uphill, downhill, around corners, or in any way changes or loses its speed, this connection will break. So it's a pretty bad mechanic. Weak shunting is an even less useful version of this, where you have these two carts that you've placed on the rail like so. So we have 3 blocks. First block, furnace cart. Second block like this. Now these are not linked together, but if I turn on hitboxes, you'll see that they don't overlap, but when I put this cart, that will set off the link. Now when I power this cart, you'll see that it gets a little weird. These two carts will overlap, and it's not convenient. I don't recommend using shunting. If you are going to use furnace minecarts, I recommend highly just having the furnace minecart be in the back and push your carts. But again, I don't generally recommend using this guy. He really needs an update. The last thing to note about furnace minecarts is that their movement speed is half that of the full speed of minecarts. So you can see here we've got 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 redstone ticks of delay, which is equivalent to 2 full seconds to travel 8 meters. So their movement speed, 4 meters per second, very slow. You hate to see it. Mojang, please fix these guys. Please. And that'll bring us to our second minecart variant, minecarts with chests. Now these guys have one single chest of inventory, no double chest version, unfortunately. They make no sound when you open them, so they're great for gearing up in ancient cities when you're trying to avoid skulk sensors and the warden. And while they're over a regular rail, comparators don't know what's in them. So if I fill this guy up, you'll see that this guy doesn't know. But if I take some things out of here and load one here and one here, hoppers can fill these guys when they're above or next to. And if your hopper is here, it can pull from it at the standard hopper rate. Once it moves on to a detector rail, comparators can get a signal-based output, either directly from or through a block like any other container. These guys are most useful for moving stuff around in the early game if you don't have ender chests or shulker boxes. And that's pretty much it. Our third minecart variant is the minecart with hoppers, which have one significant advantage over standard hoppers that keeps them relevant year after year. A regular hopper is going to move 2.5 items every second through it, whereas a minecart with a hopper is going to move an item every game tick. And there's 20 ticks per second in Minecraft, so that's pretty fast. Now, unfortunately, this does only apply to the pull speed. If I fill this up here, you'll see that it's limited by the pull speed of this item hopper. Whereas if an item's going into it, much faster. Now, unfortunately, they cannot directly put things into containers. They do need a hopper to interact with them. Now, unfortunately, this doesn't seem to be working properly for me, but the intended functionality is that once a hopper minecart passes over an activated activator rail, it is supposed to be disabled until it rolls over a non-powered activator rail. I'm not sure what's causing that to not work in my current version of the game, but in general, that is how it's supposed to work. Last but oh so certainly not least is everybody's favorite little pile of fun, a minecart with TNT. Activating these guys is pretty easy, but there's more to it than you might expect. When they're activated by a powered activator rail, they have 4 seconds of delay before they go off. They have a base explosive power of 4, which is the same as regular TNT. However, the game will randomly add a boost value that's equal to 1.5 times the velocity. However, that's the cap. So, the maximum boost value is going to be 7.5 boost. The maximum value of the explosion is 11.5. Now, other delayed triggers include getting destroyed while in motion, except for creative, fire, lava, or explosions hitting the cart, or, in Java Edition, a fire charge hitting it. So be careful around ghasts. Now, instant impact explosions happen after it falls 3 blocks vertically. Unless it lands on a rail. But you don't want to see that. So if I go ahead and clear these out, you'll see that with no fuse, we get a nice big explosion upon impact on the ground. Now, other instant triggers include derailing on a curve and hitting a solid block. So, if for some reason your minecart is traveling too fast in this direction, hits this curved rail here, and then hits this solid block, boom, instant. So be careful what tracks you put these on. Now, flame arrows will also instantly detonate minecarts with TNT, and if they are pushed into a block or entity with velocity. So that means that if something is, if it hits something and collides its hitbox with it while it's moving quickly, instant boom. That is also the same effect that causes the derailing explosion, but it's worth noting. The last and possibly coolest feature of TNT Minecarts is Java Edition exclusive. When detonating specifically from an activator rail, they will not destroy the rails nearby or the blocks underneath those rails. How courteous of them. Some more minor behaviors of minecarts that I'll cover in more depth in later videos include that they are affected by bubble columns, interact with string and tripwire. They do not like to pass downhill past solid blocks like this because their hitbox will collide since it stays completely square. And minecarts that fall with horizontal momentum will not keep as much of it as they drop, but they will snap to any tracks. So if I build this track out this way, instead, this minecart will snap on it, and it will try to go south or east. Alright everybody, that finishes up episode 2 of Rail Tech. I hope you learned something, and if you did, or if you didn't, or if you just want to join me in complaining about how absolutely useless the furnace minecart is, go on ahead down to the comments section and let me know what you think. Until next time guys, this has been Wallace. Take it easy.